In this video I'm going to demonstrate two things. Firstly, we're going to add a speed blur to this car, but secondly I'm going to show you how to use a layer mask so that we can retain a sharp car in the foreground and make all the background kind of give it all a motion blur, so it makes it look like this car is going fast. So the first thing we're going to do is duplicate our layer. This is very important. Alright, now you can do that either by right clicking and just choosing duplicate layer and click OK, or you can drag the background onto this little box down here with the plus on it, and that will also duplicate it. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn off the duplicated layer that we've just created, and we're going to do that by clicking on a little eye there. Alright, and then we're going to click on the background so that that layer is selected, because this is the layer that we're going to be primarily working on to add our speed blur. Alright, now we're going to go up to filter, blur, and we're going to choose motion blur. Alright, and then we're going to increase our distance. Alright, and you can see, look, the car's getting faster. Alright, to add a nice amount of speed blur to this, I'm going to go for about that amount. But also, look, if you click on this little wheel here, you can alter the angle of that blur. So we're just going to just dip it down slightly to the left, just in, so it kind of suits the angle of the car. About there. And I'm going to click OK. Okay, so this is great. So everything looks like it's going really fast, but we want the car to look sharp. But we can do this by turning on the foreground layer, this other layer that we created before. But then we can use a layer mask to delete all of this sharp area. So just make sure you've got the layer selected first, and then we're going to click on the layer mask button here. So it's this oblong square with a round circle in it. It says add layer mask. I'm going to click on that, and you'll see it adds a little white box to the right of our layer icon. Now we can edit our layer mask simply with a brush tool and black or white paint. Now if you select black paint, it will cut through the mask, and then if you select white paint, it will repair it again, it will put it back. Now when you go into layer mask mode, it will always display a white and a black colours. Alright, but it'll only use the foreground one, so you need to swap between them by clicking these little arrows just above them. There you go, look. Okay, now we want to delete all of this area behind the car, so I'm going to choose black paint and a fairly large brush in the first instance, and I'm going to just paint over our image. And look how fast that's looking. Alright, now what you want to do is you want to zoom in and progressively choose a smaller brush. Alright, so we get really nice and close to the car. Alright, so I want you to spend some time, you're going to do it a lot better than I am, of going through this. Don't worry about the little shadow that appears behind the driver and the wheels. I actually think it adds to the speed of this car. Now if you make a mistake, so for instance if I accidentally rub away at the grill on the car, we want that to be nice and sharp. Now what this means is we've just deleted a bit too much of the layer mask. However, we know we can repair this by switching back to white paint, and we can paint it back in. Look at that, there you go. Okay, so now between a combination of black and white paint and the size of your brush, you can really carefully cut out this car. Alright, you're going to get a little bit of shadowing of the wheels and the body, but I don't want you to worry about that. Alright, and if you make any mistakes, you quite simply just turn the paint to the opposite one and then start again. Now it may be at this point that you want your car to look faster by spinning the wheels, and we can do this by doing just a number of things. First of all, we just need to make sure that the actual image, not the layer mask, is selected. So in your layers, I want you just to click on the little tiny image of the car on that top layer. Next up, we're going to go to filter, and then we're going to go to blur gallery, and we're going to choose spin blur. All right, that puts up your initial spin, and look, we can drag that down over the wheel, and we can bring it down in size by just clicking on that blue edge, and you want this to line up just nicely with the center of the wheel, so it's about there. But this time, can you see that little white dot there? When the little handles go to those little double arrows, I want you to click and bring it in, so you're squashing that circle. Alright, we can just move it so that it fits. And now we can increase our spin by increasing the blur angle. There you go. So that looks pretty good, doesn't it? And then click OK. And then you quite simply repeat for the other wheel. So filter, blur gallery, spin blur. Move this across just by clicking anywhere in it. Click the edge of the blue circle to bring it down in size so that it just fits the rim of the wheel. And then click on that little white circle until you get a little funny double arrow, and then squish it in like so. And then increase your blur angle until you get a really nice spin on the wheel, and then click OK. And I think you can agree, it looks a lot faster. And indeed, we can see what it looks like before we started and after we started by going back to the very start. There you go, there's before, and this is after our alterations.